Hello, Tiger football fans. Thanks for joining us this week on the Perry Thomas Show. Matt Payton with you as the Tigers get set for homecoming 2016, taking on Bethel University this Saturday. As Coach Thomas steps in, we talk a little bit. Let's go backwards before we move forward into this homecoming week. Coach, bye week, your second of the season. You get to rest up, heal some injuries, work on the Tigers. Just give me your overall assessment of the week off and things accomplished.
Yeah. Well, we had a positive week. The coaches got to continue to recruit a little bit, and then we got to focus on us and continue to try to grow this program up, this team up a little bit. So much inexperience on the field. Every rep we get is needed. But we had a very positive week. The guys were energetic. They came to work. We was able to rest some of the injured and hopefully get them back into play this week. And it was a good week for us.
I'm not going to ask for a mid-season report card, so to speak, but here you are, the midway point of the 2016 campaign. Give us your thoughts, some things that you've noticed that maybe you're pleased with. Obviously, you can look at the record and you have detractors in that area that will always be there. But, just on the field, taking the scores out of things, what have you seen from this team to this point?
I mean, I'm pleased with the attitude of the program, of the team. These guys come to work every day. You would think being 1-4 and even losing the way we've lost, 3 of them by 1 score, being up at halftime against Faulkner and wound up losing by 3 scores, you would think that there'd be a lot of pouting, a lot of dissension, guys falling apart. But I think the culture of the program is strong enough that these guys' attitudes have been great, and they come to work every day, so I'm very pleased with that. I think their effort in games has been outstanding. Our guys don't quit, they play hard. As coaches, there's some more guts we want to get out of them, but that's always a deal. I think for the most part, though, they bought into what we're all about in this program, and they come to work and they play hard for us. They haven't quit on us in the game. We just have to continue to try to grind and grow up. And, the focus for us is to understand why we're 1-4 and to try to correct those things and not make those crutches that we can have a tendency to live off of. We have to overcome them. And these guys are working hard for us. So very pleased with our attitudes. Obviously, very disappointed in the fact that we're losing and that we feel like we're contributing to our losses. We're, instead of finding ways to win, we're finding ways to lose, and those are things we have to continue to grind on.
Well, it has been a bit of a different story than the last 2 years, divisional champions in the conference. How does that change things for you, maybe in an off week or in a given practice week? Is there a different mentality that you have to use as a coach, or maybe attack the team with, so to speak, in preparation, being 1-4 versus a 3-game winning streak or something to that effect?
Well, I mean, you have to kind of approach things differently by your teams, and typically in an off week we'll go 3 good hard days of practice and give them a couple of extra days off. With this team, we've actually been going 4 days of practice during that off week and not giving them that 5th day. That extra 2 days, they just get that 1 day off because we need the reps, we need to work. As the head coach, I've been trying to balance my approach to them. They're getting beat down pretty good right now, so I've been trying to stay cool. Has to struggle sometimes, but the thing is, you want to bring the intensity, especially when you have a young unit on the field, and our defense is young, so it's not a lot of leadership there. It's just a lot of good quality guys, but not a lot of leadership. So you want to bring the intensity, and as the DC, I want to bring that intensity. But I've been having to back that off a little bit, and trying to get to the point where we can just coach them up and let them play, and let them start developing some of that leadership. And so we've had to approach things a little different there. You got to make sure you don't beat them down because they're beat down enough.
Yeah, well, walk me through that. You've talked about the young defense, and it's you have a lot of young guys that you're asking to play large roles on this team. In terms of preparation and then fixing some of the issues, how much of that is done on the field, on the practice field, and then maybe in the film room to actually visually see some of those mistakes and corrections?
Well, we do quite a bit of board work and film work, and typically during the week our guys will come back at night and meet with us as a unit, and sometimes individually throughout the day with their position coach. But it's kind of got to the point where we just got to get it done on the field now, because at some point the switch has to flip for them on the field, and there's so much you can do with film, there's so much you can do on the board, but at some point they got to be able to do it in live situations. So we kind of slow things down. We slowed down the things that we're doing defensively, which we started doing that early on, but we've even backed off more and just trying to put them in a familiar spot and let them go play. And just go play and have fun and make things happen. And, your game planning has to be a little different. You can't focus as much on defensing the other team. You have to, make sure you don't get outflanked in sets, but you have to focus on getting better with what we do and competing with guts, and then just be a backyard football player and go make plays.
Well, the Tigers will try to make those plays this Saturday as they welcome Bethel University to campus. It's homecoming, 2 p.m. kickoff, the Tiger Tailgate Show at 1:30. We'll step away, come back, get Coach's thoughts on that matchup with Bethel. Also, later on in the show, we'll be joined by the new defensive line coach of the Tigers, Josh Dean, here on the Perry Thomas Show.
A champion doesn't get days off. It takes determination and drive to realize goals. From long nights to early mornings. From the courts to the classrooms to online. At Campbellsville University, this is why we play. This is how we learn. This is where champions are made. Find your calling for a life change at campbellsville.edu.
Homecoming week here at Campbellsville University. Thanks for joining us on the Perry Thomas Show. Matt Payton with you as the head coach of Fighting Tiger football is here with us to visit about this upcoming matchup with number 16 Bethel University. Coach, this is a team that you've been able to handle, so to speak, in the last few years. This year they come in 16th ranked in the country, unbeaten at 6-0. It's a divisional game, tough contest here this homecoming game.
Yeah, they're a very, very experienced football team, a very strong football team, and they get a lot of things done. And we've kind of projected them to be this way over the last couple of years because they've been playing a lot of youth. So even last year we was like, ooh, this team's going to be scary late, and they got better as the year went on. And after we played them, and it's coming to fruition this year as good as they are. So they're a solid football team, and we're going to have to play really good, solid football team football to get a victory.
You look at the numbers for this Bethel team, and Kerry Sellers, the quarterback, he's a guy that has experience in that system, a guy that's run the program, I think, now for 2 years from behind center. Not a pass-heavy team. They are more run-oriented, over 300 yards a game on the season on the ground. Deontay Davis, their running back, leads the way there. 11 touchdowns in just 6 games on the season for Bethel. So offensively, you kind of another run team here that you guys will have to defend.
Well, they're a very strong run team, but they have big play potential throwing the ball. And because they run the ball so well, teams have a tendency to bite up on those on that run, and those those receivers get behind them, and the quarterback has enough experience to throw good balls. And if you go back and watch their games, they've had some big plays on passes. Not all of them are gone for touchdowns, but they've had some big plays to advance the sticks for them, and then they just kind of pound you with those backs in the running game. The quarterback is scary because he's kind of like the U-Pike and the Union quarterback. He can scramble. So you can get pressure on him, you can get after him, but he can scramble, or he can keep it off of a give and take it to the house on you. And they have a real big running back, kind of reminds you of the Faulkner running back. He's one of the top rushers in the country. Big, strong offensive line, one of the best. I'd say this line, the line we see Cumberland University and Reinhardt's lines, those three would be probably the best lines we'll face all year. And, this is a big, strong, beastly type line. So we're going to have to dig in on defense and really, get in there and get after them.
One thing in my preparation, just looking at the numbers, their leading receiver has 11 catches on the season. The Tigers have 5 players with more than 11 catches, and the 6th, Wade Holtzclaw, has 11.
Right.
So completely polar opposite in terms of what you want to do offensively.
Yeah, and they're going to come in and try to just pound. Whereas, we're going to come in and we use our passing game as a running game. We'll throw some quick passes, some 5-yard digs, and some stops and hitches and so forth to advance the sticks for us. And then that opens up our running game. They're going to pound you, and then they're going to try to go over top of you with some play actions and things.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the offensive side for Campbellsville. We mentioned, obviously, you guys are built more through the air and the passing game and extension of that running game. Talk to me a little bit about Bethel's defense and what the Tigers look to exploit offensively.
Well, they're going to be experienced on defense. With the same guys that people saw us play against last year will be on that defense, except they're a year older. And, last year we was able to exploit some things, and they've improved, obviously, in those spots. But the big difference is their maturity. I mean, that's the way we have to look at ourselves too. You know, those young DBs they had in there last year, young linebackers, you know, they're juniors and seniors now, and they're able to get some things done. What we have to do on offense is, you know, because we're not very strong on defense, is we have to, you know, maximize our opportunities. And I know people can say, well, shoot, you scored 51 points the last game. You know, that may not be enough. I mean, because we do have the ability to move the ball on people. We do have the ability to score. So we can't blow those opportunities when we have those opportunities to score. And the big thing is we can't turn the ball over. You know, our win against Bluefield, we didn't turn the ball over any. And I think last game, counting the one on kicking game, we had 4 or 5 turnovers. And we have to secure the ball because we can't put our defense on the field like that. So that's our strength right now, and we have to maximize our opportunities on offense.
And this game a year ago, if you remember, maybe the fastest start in Tiger history. Yeah. You guys went down, scored on the opening kickoff, a fumble on the next kickoff return by Bethel. Another touchdown. Bethel, you had not, I don't think it was intended to be an onside kick. It just bounced off a body. You guys get it again. It's 21-0 before Bethel's offense ever stepped out onto the field. This is one of those games where you think they may come in with even a little more chip on the shoulder, perhaps?
I'm sure they do. And, you know, everyone's playing against us that way. If you watch all the teams when they've defeated us this year, they've all celebrated. And that's respect to our program, though. You know, it's not you don't do that unless you're playing someone that you expect to be really strong. And, you know, we're the 2-time defending conference champions. So we're going to get everybody coming in with a little chip on their shoulders. And everybody's going to come in and they're going to celebrate if they have a chance to beat us. And so we understand that. We recognize that. We just have to step up and do something about it.
Third phase of the game, Coach, special teams. You know, the kicking game has been pretty good. We've seen some of the kickoff coverage issues. We've talked about that a little bit. Walk me through some of the special team stuff, things that you may have worked on this week.
Well, I mean, obviously focusing on securing the ball. You know, last game we had a punt fumble that put us in bad position, and you know, we focused on that, and then coverage. We've been focusing a great deal on that, but I feel good about our kicking game. You know, we have some guys in there. We've moved some people around to give us a little more effort, or fresher guys, so they can give us that great effort on kickoff. And you know, our punters are punting well, and Bradley's kicking the ball well. So I feel good about our kicking game. We just have to continue to cover and then secure that football. We have to maximize that again. I mean, when you're struggling on the defensive side of the ball, your kicking game has to be solid and your offense has to be solid. Same thing if we're struggling on offense. Our kicking game and our defense will have to be solid if we want to have a chance to win games.
Let's talk a little bit about the injury report before we move past this matchup and preview with Bethel. I noticed on the defensive 2 deep, you've moved some guys around. You've done some different things to accommodate for some of those injuries. Walk me through the injury report and maybe some of the changes this week.
Well, defensively, we've moved some guys around. Obviously, Tyler and Bias is still out, and you know, some of those D linemen are still questionable. You know, we think they're going to be ready to go, but we're not for sure yet. We've been resting them some. But we've also moved some people around to get some different people on the field. You know, Khalil Baker's a kid that we think that needs to be on the field full-time on defense. So we've shuffled the secondary up a little bit and moved Marcus McCants back to a free safety, and Khalil in that box as a outside linebacker. And then offensively, you know, we're kind of wait and see on Zarek and Tyus, and we just have to see pregame how they're running and catching and so forth.
Yeah, that receiver position very deep, but you start to lose 2 or 3, it can become slim quick.
Well, no doubt. You know, Jacob Lamb's out for sure now, and Tyus and Zarek are possibles. So, you know, it means that just more young guys are playing. Now, they're capable guys, and we have a very tough O-line and a very tough quarterback, but they're still young guys that are going to go out there and make plays. And against the second half, some of those guys stepped up and made some big plays for us against Faulkner, but they're going to have to do even more now.
We'll let Coach take a quick break. We'll get the defensive line coach for the Tigers in, Josh Dean. We'll come back and get Coach Thomas's thoughts on homecoming here for the Tigers 2016. Stay with us on the Perry Thomas Show.
Excellence.
Nurturing.
Rooted.
Diversity.
Experience personal, academic, and spiritual growth at Campbellsville University.
Welcome back to the Perry Thomas Show here on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. Matt Payton with you as we visit now with the new defensive line coach of the Tigers, Josh Dean, and Coach you and A.J. Strong, some of the new blood, the new faces on this coaching staff. A.J. played here, however, so you're the guy that's kind of familiarizing yourself with Campbellsville. Welcome to the Tigers. I know you're well into this first season, but it's great to have you here.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's been a great experience being around a great coaching staff and a great community. It's very refreshing, something new. And I've just been welcomed with open arms, and the players and just the overall energy with this staff is a great chemistry, and I really have enjoyed it. And it's made this transition very smooth for me.
Well, we were talking a little bit off the air. You're a relatively young guy, but you've been around a little bit. You've had some great experiences. Tell us a little bit about your path here to Campbellsville.
Well, my path is, I consider myself very young in this business, but at the same time, I've been coaching for a little bit over 8 years. I was fortunate enough to play college football at San Diego State University. I was fortunate enough to go to Chicago Bears and play for a couple years, and did a brief stint in NFL Europe. That led to going to Fort Valley State University, where I was actually able to finish my bachelor's degree, and I was coached there for 3 years. I had a relationship with one of my old mentors, Wayne Dickens at Kentucky State University. He brought me down there to coach as a defensive line coach, and after his departure, I took over and became the head coach, and I was there for 3 years, and got a call from Coach Thomas about an opportunity here, and it was a great opportunity to join a man like Coach Thomas, where I feel like as a fellow coach and fellow head coach, I really have always appreciated how he goes about his business and the kind of culture that he has established here. And that's one of the things that I've noticed, because being a head coach, it's funny, I've always met him at the Kentucky State Hall of Fame for the NFL, and we would just talk, and I would see how he grew this program from where they only had 3-4 win seasons to become back-to-back champions. So I had a lot of admiration for him, and I just thought it would be a great opportunity to come here and be a part of this program.
We talked a little bit again about that head coaching role. You get to come here, defensive line, and maybe take that step back, and kind of a breath of fresh air, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, we always call it the hot seat, but, it's great to take a step back. And, when you begin this profession, it's always about coaching and teaching and energy and really making an impact on these young men's lives. And sometimes when you're the head coach, you wear so many hats that it pulls you away from that. So it was a great opportunity to come back, to really get back into the teaching and the coaching and the everyday drills, and really working with position group and really watching this group grow. Like Coach Thomas said, we have a young team, especially in my position group. I have a lot of young guys, so I really have to work every day is a grind, teaching them the basics and what we expect of them. And I feel like from week 1 to now, we've done a lot of growth. It hasn't shown in the record, but if you just watch and you pay attention to each game, you see us getting closer and closer. And I think overall, as a defensive unit, we're really close to being a great defense. But we just have to get the consistency. And like Coach says, it's a little bit making sure we're consistent with the guts and the fundamentals and making plays. And I think that, it'll be a great opportunity to go against Bethel, 6-0 team, to have that opportunity.
Well, this is a high numbers institution in terms of the number of kids that you guys bring in and year out. That defensive line, you have one senior that makes an appearance on Saturdays. That's Silent Drake Mays. We'll spend a little time on Silent since we've got a chance here. He's been in this program. He's been around. Talk to me a little bit about his demeanor, effort, and leadership ability.
He's I'm very fortunate enough to have a young man like Silent in our group, because as a new coach dealing with a young position group, I lean on him a lot to carry the message, not just from the field and from the meeting room, but into the locker room and when they're just around. And one of the first things I told him when I came here was that I'm going to need you to be a leader to these young guys when we're in the cafeteria and when they're around, because a lot of these guys come from different places and they just need someone to kind of tell them or to walk them through it. And as a coach, we extend so long. our eyes and our hands on them. But he's as a guy that shows up, he's hurt, plays hurt, shows up on time, does everything he's supposed to do, never gets in trouble. He works extremely hard, and he takes coaching. I coach him hard, just like I coach the youngest freshman. So it shows and speaks volumes to his character of how he carries himself. And I remember when Coach preached to me that we got this kid named Silent, and he'll be a great effort, a great guy, a piece to your group. So I thought it always would play out, and he's done great things for us.
And Coach, we got about 30 seconds left. Quickly, defensively, some of the keys as you take on Bethel Saturday to make sure that the Tigers come out on top.
Well, we've done a great job of stopping the run, and this will be besides Cumberland our toughest test as far as stopping the run. They have a really big offensive line. This is probably our best offensive line that we faced. They do a good job of getting on the D-line and climbing up to the second level. So we're going to have to do a really good job of making plays in the backfield and keeping our linebackers clean, and that's what we stress. So we have some guys that have been banged up, but we expect them to be back. So we're up for the challenge. We've had a week to get prepared for it, so we're ready to go.
Well, Coach, welcome to Campbellsville once again. Glad to have you, and thanks for joining us this week.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Josh Dean, the defensive line coach here for the Campbellsville University Tigers. We'll step away, come back. We'll get Coach Thomas's thoughts on homecoming here on the Perry Thomas Show.
Endurance.
Ambitious.
Dedicated.
Fellowship.
Purpose. Find yours at Campbellsville University.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Perry Thomas Show. Matt Payton with you as we visit with the head coach of Fighting Tiger football, Perry Thomas. Homecoming here on campus this weekend, Coach. It's a big weekend. A lot of former Tigers will be on campus. A lot of CU alumni will be on campus. It's an exciting time around the university.
Yeah, I mean, homecoming is always great. A lot of coaches don't like homecoming week and so forth. It doesn't bother me much, especially at the collegiate level, because you don't have a lot of distractions going on for the team. But it's always great because you get every walk of campus life back on campus. Whether it's the band, which I think they're having their 25th anniversary, or whether it's just the nursing department or whomever, you get all those alumnus back on campus, and they come to the sporting events going on that day, football and the other events going on. So it's always a nice crowd, a nice atmosphere, and hopefully they're going to see a great football game.
And you guys will get some of the football players back on campus. This program started by the late Ron Finley,
right.
And now you've been here in your 9th season at the helm. A lot of these faces are your guys now.
Yeah.
A lot of guys you
Right.
brought to campus, and now you get to see them as they went on to become adults and start families and all that stuff.
Yeah, and that's always great because you get to catch up with those guys. Some of them you haven't seen since those early days you were here. And, one of the blessings I've had is that I was at the high school for so many years at the beginning of this program. So some of those guys I actually knew. And, you get to see those guys. I think Mrs. Finley's going to present the game ball, pregame. And so it's a great opportunity to get those people back on campus, to catch up with guys that you've coached or that have been part of this program, and see their families, their wives, sometimes for the first time meeting them and their kids and so forth. So it's always a good opportunity.
Do you get to make time, I guess more so after the game perhaps, to see some of those guys? Will they come by the Hawkins and visit with you for a bit?
Many of them will come. Those that come in on Friday might stop in on Friday, and then also oftentimes they'll come in pregame before we even go out to warm up. They'll stop in the building and just shake your hand and speak and so forth, and they know you're busy. So you don't spend a ton of time with them, but you get to catch them, or when you're going through the gate onto the field, and it's always good to see them because for the most part, regardless of how your season's going, they're supportive of you as the Tiger football program, and I think most of them respect the job that we do. So that's always great to see those guys.
And is that different for you from a standpoint of the homecoming activities? Is it you don't have the ability to go to the parade or do
Right.
some of those events beforehand. So you're so focused on the game. Does that maybe help just a little bit? Not so many distractions for the football team per se?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think with homecoming, I always tell guys that really homecoming is not about you. It's about the university. It's about the people that have been here, and they're coming to see you. So you want to be at your tip-top performance and put on a show for those guys so that they're respectful of what they see. I've never witnessed a homecoming. I've always, I either played or I coached. And even in high school years, I never got to be part of those events. So one day I'll retire and I'll get to be part of it. But right now, our focus is on the game, and that's what we keep our guys grinding on and focused on is focused on the football game. It helps a little bit that we're 1-4. It helps that we're 0-1 in league play because we can't afford distractions. So those things actually help us a little bit going into a game like this.
Well, Coach, best of luck to you this weekend, and we'll talk about a victory next week, we hope.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
The Tigers and Bethel University, it's a 2 p.m. kickoff, homecoming 2016. You can catch the Tiger Tailgate Show at 1:30 on the Campbellsville University Sports Network. That's it for this week. Thanks for Josh Dean stopping by, the defensive line coach of the Tigers, and the head coach, Perry Thomas. We'll see you next week here on the Perry Thomas Show.